Hiya, folks. My media fast is going great. It's made me feel a lot better about life, and contrary to what a couple of people that wrote me emails and left comments are concerned about, I'm staying pretty well informed. It's amazing how much news gets to you even when you don't try to consume it, or when you deliberately try not to consume it. But what I wanted to talk to you about this time is something totally different. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on this page before. I know I've mentioned that I've been reading this book, and I finally finished it the other day. One of the other benefits of not looking at the news. It's a big book. There is a line in here which I think is really interesting, and it shows up on page 109 in a subchapter called Words Without Words. A nice one. And here is the paragraph as a whole. I know I mentioned this in one of the Zoom thingies that we did on for Angel City Zen Center, but I don't think I've gotten into this in this particular YouTube channel, so here we go. He says, essentially, Buddhism is to perfectly penetrate original reality and to expound it perfectly. These two aspects, precise penetration of original reality and precise teaching, are extremely important. To penetrate original reality means not being mistaken about true reality. It's to perceive it such as it is. It is something we have to experience for ourselves. To penetrate the teaching is to retain the use of tentative names even while we grasp true reality. For this is necessary to explain and share the Dharma with other people. Buddhism is not a mental construction. Were even a particle fabricated, the truth would disappear. It rests on the principle that all that is produced is destroyed. And the bit I like in there a lot, which has been like sticking in my head ever since I read it, is to penetrate the teaching is to retain the use of tentative names even while we grasp true reality, for this is necessary to share the Dharma with other people. I think this is an aspect of Buddhism, particularly in the Zen tradition, that often gets lost and I think is sometimes deliberately twisted. Well, deliberately is probably kind of a bad word to say, but gets twisted anyway by sometimes well-meaning people and sometimes people who just want to sound fancy. The point is, retaining the use of tentative names means that things are not what we think they are. We have an idea of what this world we are living in is, and it's a very fixed idea, and we share it with others, and we communicate it with each other by making news stories out of it, and sharing it on the internet, and having conversations, and we all kind of affirm it. But the position of Buddhism has always been that our conventional understanding of the world is completely mistaken, is not the world the way it is, and that the only way to directly perceive the world is to do the practice of Zazen and perceive it as it is. And once we perceive it as it is, rather than trying to sort of snowball everybody with our new understanding and how profound we are and make up a bunch of special words for it and kind of, fancy it up and then present it as a system, we retain the use of tentative names. We call things exactly what everybody else calls them. We call a tree, we call a bicycle, we call a haircut, we call a virus. But we understand that those things are not what most people believe them to be. That's the funny part. And I think that's the part that makes it very interesting. Now, I've been concurrently with this stuff, that I'm reading from Kodo Sawaki and others in the Zen tradition, trying to dive a little bit into the Advaita Vedanta tradition. Now, I'm saying Advaita now because somebody in our Sangha studied the Advaita Vedanta, and that's the way she said it. I was saying Advaita because I was pronouncing it like a Japanese word. In Japanese, if you have two vowels in a row, you pronounce each of them. A, I. So Advaita. But I guess that's not how you do it in Sanskrit, so Advaita. So anyway, whatever. The Advaita Vedanta tradition is also similar to Zen in that, from what I've seen of it, it does try to retain the use of tentative names. It doesn't try to snowball you with a lot of technical terms. Other traditions do, though. This might be one of the reasons why a lot of ideas that Dogen has are similar to the ideas one finds in the so-called consciousness only or Yogacara traditions, but are expressed very differently. He doesn't use the Yogacara terminology. He uses direct terminology and everyday language. Now, when that comes filtered through, an 800-year-old book that gets translated mostly by scholars and intellectuals who are trying to impress other scholars and intellectuals, and commented on by people like that, this gets obscure, and you end up with something that doesn't retain the use of tentative names at all. So one of the things I've let me just brag a little bit. I don't know if this is bragging, but in order to prepare for this video, I decided to reread a chapter of one of my own books, which I don't do very often. Usually when I finish a book, I don't look at it again unless I have to do a book reading or something like that. It came from Beyond Zen, which was, my last book was Letters to a Dead Friend About Zen, so it was the previous to last book. I guess came out in 2017 or 18. And it's one of my Dogen paraphrases, and I took Dogen's chapter Muchu Setsumu, which means explaining a dream within a dream, or manifesting a dream within a dream. And I put it in my own words. Before I even read this Kodo Sawaki quote, I did my best to retain the use of tentative names, to kind of say it, to kind of take the Dogen translations that I was familiar with and put them into a language that I thought most people could understand. Even though the language that most people can understand is based on a concept of reality that is entirely wrong. So that we got this weird thing going on. I don't know exactly where I'm going with this. This is one of my videos where I sort of ramble, so forgive me a little bit. But I wanted to bring this up because this seemed somehow connected to it. This is a quote from Dogen's essay Bendowa, and I put this on Twitter yesterday, or a couple of days ago. All dharmas, myriad phenomenon, and accumulated things, which means everything. Dharmas is just a fancy word for stuff. All dharmas, myriad phenomena, and accumulated things are totally just the one mind, without exclusion or disunion. All things and phenomena are the even and balanced, undivided mind, other than which there is nothing. Now that is weird stuff. And what I am trying to do lately is I've been working out this sort of mind-only philosophy based on my own experience of it and diving into it directly through meditation practice, and also an intellectual study of how it is expressed by people who I think express it best, which would be people like Dogen, for example, or Kodo Sawaki, or my teacher Nishijima Roshi, or Tim McCarthy, my first teacher, or Koben Chino, Tim's teacher. There's a lot of teachers I think express it well, and I'm finding some of the people in the Advaita Vedanta tradition also express it very well. But we all do it differently, and everybody has a different approach to it, because we're all dealing with a language that is invented to express a very different, and probably from the point of view of most of the people I just mentioned, wrong understanding of reality. So we're trying to put that into something that other people can understand. And I was very grateful that Tim was able to do this for me without, bowling me over with a bunch of terms and things. He could put it in a way that was straight. Nishijima Roshi tended to talk in more classical terms, but he was also very direct, and all these other people, Koto Sawaki and Katagiri Roshi would be another one, and Kobanchino. Did I mention him just now? Anyway, there's a lot of people who do try to say this as straightforwardly as possible. The problem is we are using language that is not meant to do that. This language we're saddled with is not invented to give a true expression of reality. It's invented to sort of help people navigate the real reality, but under a lot of false assumptions and presumptions about how it works and what it is and what we are doing here. So let me try to wind that up, because I did spend a lot of time this morning reading this silly thing, Muchu Setsumu, which I just mentioned. This is a great fascicle, they say. See, there's another example of how it works. They can't say essay or chapter when they talk about Dogen. They have to say fascicle, and you're like, what the hell is a fascicle? And you got to spend 20 minutes looking up what fascicle is just to find out it means essay or chapter. That's the kind of problem we get into with this stuff, and I think it's really important to try to do it directly. But this Muchu Setsumu it was attractive to me today because it's very similar to the ideas that you find in the Advaita Vedanta, that essentially the life we're living is in many ways dreamlike. It has the characteristics of a dream. When you are dreaming, and I've been getting to sleep earlier and waking up earlier lately, and as a consequence remembering more of my dreams lately. And the interesting thing about a dream is very rarely do you question it. When it's going on, the most crazy things will seem to be real. The theory, and I don't think it's just a theory, that comes forth in the Advaita Vedanta and Zen traditions and some other traditions, is that this waking life, just as it is now, in which you just assume everything makes sense, doesn't actually make that much sense. We're just kind of, filling in the blanks the same way that we fill in blanks in dreams. That's kind of Dogen's idea, Muchu Setsumu. He says that his own writing is explaining a dream within a dream. So that's some weird stuff, and that's what I've been working on, and I don't know if this video adds up to much of anything, but, I did read my own book. It came from Beyond Zen, and decided it was good, so I can recommend that might work better for you than these videos if you want to really understand, because it's a different sort of way of working when you write a book. You're really trying to put something solid together that's going to stand this test of time, whereas a video is sort of like, a bit more ephemeral and kind of leads to a different area, but it's also another way of approaching the same thing. Now I'm not making any sense. Now I'm just being weird, and I just kicked the table and it looked like there was an earthquake, and I'm sorry. Anyway, as always, Patreon and PayPal links are below, which is how I make my living. Thank you for all you people who are continuing to contribute and support what I do. It's been amazing. I hope to God we get out of this quarantine stuff soon. Gavin Newsom, handsome Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, just sent us all an email, everybody in the state, that indicates that he thinks it's going to go on another 2 years. Well, I hope the heck he is wrong, because that, I think, could be a problem, to say the least. But while I'm here, I've decided I'm going to cloister down, and I'm going to keep studying, and I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to keep trying to produce material for you and for a book that I hope will get done, and maybe we'll see it at the end of the quarantine. Who knows? But anyway, that's where I'm at today, and thank you for watching, and donate if you want to, and if you can't donate, don't donate, because I know everybody's having trouble. We'll see you later. Bye.